The milk truck left Nate Alder at the winter gate because the driver did not want trouble inside the way station. That was the word he used without saying it straight. Trouble. Nate had ridden 40 miles behind empty bottle crates, knees pressed to cold aluminum, one hand hooked through the strap of a duffel that held almost everything the youth home had put in a plastic bag for him. 2 shirts, a torn sweater, a folder of papers, a paperback swollen by rain, and the proof that he had turned 18 3 days ago. The proof had mattered to the office. It meant the bed at Chestnut House was no longer his problem, or theirs. It did not matter to the weather. The driver slowed before the lit station office, saw inspectors standing over clipboards, and told Nate to get out before somebody asked why an unpaid boy was riding in the back. "I can stay until Plover Bend," Nate said. "You can walk to Plover Bend," the driver answered. 6 miles if you use the hollow road." The truck door slammed. Its red lights passed through the gate and vanished behind the weighing shed. Nate stood in cold November rain, looking down a road with no shoulder, no houses, and no reason to care that he had nowhere else to go. The hollow road curved between abandoned orchards and a long gray bluff of volcanic ash and river stone. Water ran in both ditches. Ice shone in the wheel ruts. Far below, unseen, the river made a slow sound, like cloth torn carefully in the dark. He walked because standing still only made his body understand more clearly how cold it was. By the 3rd mile, his left shoe had begun taking water. By the 4th, rain changed to sleet, and the trees along the road glittered under the beam of passing clouds. His stomach had stopped complaining in a way that frightened him more than hunger. The last food he had eaten was a handful of crackers from a vending machine behind a sorting shed, paid for with coins found under a locker, after the foreman told him temporary meant temporary. At a sharp bend, a culvert poured orchard runoff into a ravine. Gravel had washed across the road. Above the ditch, half hidden by dead fern and a leaning black slab, Nate saw a cave mouth in the ash bank. It was hardly a cave, more a bite taken out of the bluff. He climbed to it on hands and knees, pushed his duffel in first, then twisted after it. The roof pressed his shoulders. Rain blew through the opening. The floor sloped toward the ditch. It smelled of mouse dust, wet roots, and mineral cold. Still, it was not the road. No one had yet told him to leave it. He tried to sleep curled around the duffel, but the space was too narrow. His knees jammed against the rear wall. His boots stuck out into sleet. After an hour, he understood that if he did nothing, the cave would become only a slower kind of outside. In the ditch, he found a rusted tire liver caught against the culvert grate. He carried it back and began scraping the rear wall. The ash bank gave way in damp curls. Scrape, pull, scoop. The work warmed his wrists. It gave him a problem simple enough to solve. He did not intend to dig into anything. He only wanted 6 more inches for his legs. The liver struck something flat. The sound was small and clean, not stone, not root. Nate cleared loose ash with his fingers and found pale tile behind it. Tile where no tile should be, set in old mortar and faintly warm. He pressed the back of his hand to it. The warmth was not strong, only the held warmth of a dish rinsed in hot water. He should have stopped. Warmth behind a wall belonged to someone. Everything good did. But wind pushed sleet through the cave mouth and hunger bent him toward the tile. The first tile came loose with a thin crack. Behind it, warm air breathed into his face. It smelled of onions, yeast, damp wool, and wood smoke. Nate forgot the cold. He pried harder. A second tile fell inward and shattered on a floor he could not see. Orange light pulsed through the hole. He tore at the mortar, widened the gap with the tire lever, and put his face to it. Beyond the broken wall was a kitchen. It was long and low, built under earth, with an arched brick ceiling blackened by years of smoke. A cast-iron range glowed softly along the far wall. Copper pipes climbed behind it and crossed the ceiling like careful vines. A wooden table stood in the center, scrubbed pale in the middle and dark at the edges where many hands had rested. Jars of beans, dried apples, barley, salt, and tea lined a shelf. A kettle trembled on the stove. A covered pot breathed once and settled. One chair had been pulled back from the table, and a gray cardigan hung over it, still shaped at the elbows. Someone's kitchen. Warm, hidden, alive. Nate whispered, "Hello?" No voice answered. Only water ticked in a pipe. The fire shifted, and somewhere under the floor came a slow wooden knock. 3 knocks. A pause. 1. He pushed his duffel through the hole and climbed after it, boots landing on a mat woven from strips of oilcloth. Heat rose through the floor and entered his wet shoes. For a moment, he simply stood there while pain returned to his fingers. Then he saw the sign hanging beside the broken wall. Cold porch must stay narrow. Patch any break before firing hard. He looked at the ragged hole he had made. The knocking came again. Near the range, a square iron hatch sat in the brick floor. A cloudy glass disc had been set into one corner. Nate wiped it with his sleeve. Below, in red dimness, a pale face moved under tangled white hair, and a hand struck the underside of the hatch with a wooden spoon. He jerked back, then grabbed the ring. The hatch rose an inch and jammed against something heavy. Smoke curled through the crack. A woman's voice came up, old but sharp. "Not all at once. Stove draws wrong." "Are you stuck?" Nate asked. "Since before supper. Who broke the cold porch?" He swallowed. "I did." A cough, then a dry laugh. "Nobody else down here would be that hungry. Close it smaller, not shut." Boards by the flour bin. Clay rag in the bucket. Leave a handspan low. Then come back. Nate found boards already cut to different widths, a bucket of wet clay wrapped in burlap, and a strip of linen tied to a brass arm near the range. He did not understand the system, but he understood that the broken wall was making the kitchen breathe wrong. He set boards across the hole, smeared clay around their edges, and left a low gap as she had ordered. The warm rush became a slow pull near the floor. The smoke lifted. "Better," the woman called. "Now the table screw. Drawer with no handle." The drawer held tools instead of forks. Wedges, a hand drill, copper wire, tin patches, files, and a C-shaped iron screw. She guided him through, setting it against the hatch rim. He turned it with the tire lever. The hatch lifted enough to show the crawlspace below. Brick piers, warm pipes, a shallow trough of mineral water, and the woman's left leg pinned under a fallen stone counterweight. "My name's Etta Greaves," she said. "This is Stone Lip Kitchen. If you steal bread, cut from the torn side. If you save my leg first, I'll cut it myself. I didn't come to steal. You came through a wall, but you patched before you ate. That is a distinction worth feeding. Your name?" "Nate." "More than that. Kitchens keep full names." "Nate Alder." "All right, Nate Alder. Pull the red chain 3 links, not 4. He stretched through the hatch until the iron edge bit his ribs. The chain was slick with grease. He pulled 1 link, 2, 3. Something clicked and held. Under Etta's directions, he set the screw again, slid wedges under the hatch, passed down an ash fork, and lifted when she said, "Lift." Every movement had to be small. The counterweight shifted twice with a deep complaint from the range. Etta told him when to stop before fear made him waste strength. At last, her leg came free. When she climbed out, Nate saw that she was small, square, soot-streaked, and pale with pain. White hair had escaped its pins. Her shin bled through a torn stocking. Her eyes were clear as river ice. "You're soaked," she said. "You were under the floor." "So I know where I was." She gripped the table until her breathing steadied. "Hang your coat. Sit. Eat." She cut bread from the torn side, dipped it into the pot, and set it before him. He burned his tongue because he ate too quickly. Etta watched and said, "Food that hot doesn't run off. No need to chase it." He slowed. The soup was barley, onion, carrots, and marrow bones cooked until every plain thing had given up its strength. It moved through him like light reaching a cellar. Only after eating did he see the kitchen properly. It was not a hidden home. It was a working room built for survival. Every wall carried instructions. Keep low draft blue. Count spring before dawn. Ash out only after steam shows. The pipes had stamped tin labels. Hand sink, warm back, dish trough, west bench heat, floor coil. A cabinet held rolled blankets. A row of cleaned shoes in different sizes sat on a shelf. Above the table hung wooden tokens shaped like spoons. "Do people live here?" he asked. "People pass through," Etta said. "Some an hour, some a week. I live near enough to hear when the chimney lies." "Who made it?" "Cooks. Turned out children. Bathhouse firemen. 2 girls who took copper from a condemned roof before men could sell it. First rule was for orphans who stopped being children on paper before winter." Agreed. 16 then. 18 now. Offices change numbers easier than weather. She did not ask whether he was one. That mercy made the room warmer. They spent the night checking what his breech had changed. Etta made him hang linen strips near the range, the pantry, and the cold porch. The cloth leaned with the moving air. Too far by the range, wrong at the bench, dead near the high throat. She explained that the cave was not accidental. It was the cold porch, the low intake that let outside air enter slowly before feeding the stove and copper warm back. By widening it blindly, he had made the kitchen pull too much cold. The range would burn mean, the chimney would cool, and the warm back could crack. "Can I fix it?" he asked. "You can begin." He expected blame, but the kitchen had no time for blame, while things needed doing. Near dawn, the high throat soured with smoke. Night crawled into a slanted brick flue with a shutter lamp tied to his cap. Etta, too injured to climb, sat below with the rope around his waist and gave instructions through coughs. At the second bend, he found a wire silt basket packed with leaves, grit, and pale mineral paste. Water overflowed around it, cooling the chimney and pushing smoke back into the room. He tapped the hinge, lifted the basket inch by inch, and scraped the crust downward into a drain without touching the copper feeler wires. When the draft caught properly, the lamp flame leaned away from his face. Then a crack opened in the wall above the basket. Clear water beaded fast through the mineral crust. "Etta," he called. "Water through the side." "How much?" "More than should be." "Back out now." He obeyed. Behind him, water struck brick harder. A stone clicked loose. Etta pulled the rope until he slid from the flue, coughing, arms streaked with hot grit. "Culvert overflow," she said. Road water found the ash seam. It will cut into the chimney or the spring channel unless the upper gutter is cleared. Outside again, then. The thought of leaving heat made his body stiffen. Etta saw it. "You only have to go out if you choose to help." Different sentence. What do I look for? Above the cave, 3 iron teeth in the bank, clear between them. If water jumps the lip, pull the gray spillboard by its ring. Don't stand below it. What happens? Water remembers downhill. She gave him a waxed coat, a hand hoe, a coil of tarred cord, and half a boiled potato. He ate outside the cave mouth, as she told him. The potato steamed in the sleet. The plain salt of it nearly made him close his eyes. The bank above the cave was slick and crumbling. Nate climbed with the hoe driven into ash for grip. He found the 3 iron teeth holding a stone gutter choked by leaves and roots. Water had filled behind it and was spilling straight toward the intake. He scraped until the channel opened, then found the gray spillboard half buried under ivy. It would not move. He looped the cord through its ring, braced one boot against an iron tooth, and pulled. The board gave all at once. Water leapt past the place where he had knelt, carrying gravel and black leaves into a stone chute that threw the overflow into the ditch. He clung to the iron tooth while spray struck his face. When he crawled back into the kitchen, the smoke had thinned. The spring pipe knocked 3 times under the floor, and Etta said, "Your gutter held." Praise entered him awkwardly. He did not know where to put it. By mid-morning, a truck ground down the hollow road. Nate peered through a painted viewing board. Etta sat behind the patched wall. 2 men in orange coats stood by the culvert. A smaller truck behind them carried tanks and hoses marked "Void Foam Culvert Stabilization." One man held a clipboard. The other wore a red knit cap and moved with the confidence of someone used to prying open weak things. "Corby Strake," Etta murmured, "owns half the equipment in 3 hollows and remembers debts longer than scripture." The clipboard man pointed at the cave. "We foam the animal hole, crib the ditch, clear before dark." Corby climbed the bank 2 steps and shone a light toward Nate's old sleeping scrape. "Animal holes warm?" "Water's moving," the clipboard man said. "We don't foam water. We crib today. Note drainage. Come back dry." Corby stared at the cave mouth. If he looked long enough, he might see the patch. Then the gutter Nate had cleared sent a clean rush down the chute, splashing his boots. He cursed and backed down. The crew left without filling the cave, but Etta did not celebrate. "Deferred isn't saved," she said. "They'll return when the ditch dries, or Strake will come alone if he smells iron." They spent the afternoon rebuilding the cold porch. Nate fitted numbered clay tiles into grooves around the broken wall. Some tiles had slits, some holes, some none. Etta explained that air had to be cut like cloth. Too much and heat was wasted. Too little and smoke came hunting lungs. He packed horsehair clay around the edges and watched linen strips until they leaned 2 fingers near the range and 1 at the bench. While he worked, she told him fragments of the kitchen's past, not as bedtime history, but tied to tools. Pierce Knoll cut the 3-hole tile, though he could not write until 22. Sava Bellows curved the warm back after men told her women would panic at boilers. Oral Pry hid spoons inside cleanouts because a kitchen, he said, should never be opened by a tool that could not feed someone. "Were you turned out?" Nate asked. Etta touched the table. 15. Slept 3 nights in a lime wagon shed. Came because a boy with no front teeth told me to find the cold breath under the fern. The cook made me wash dishes before she gave me second helpings. I thought it cruel. Later I understood. Hunger teaches receiving. A kitchen teaches return. At dusk, Corby Strake came back alone with a pry bar and a canvas roll. He climbed not to the cave mouth, but toward a vapor crack near the gutter. Etta opened a wall panel behind the wood box. Inside hung brass speaking cups labeled Porch, Road, Stair. She lifted Porch and spoke in a voice low enough to sound like the bank itself. "Stand clear." Corby froze. Nate, guided by her nod, leaned into the road cup. "County marked it." The words came out below, broadened by stone. Corby raised the pry bar. "Who's there?" Etta pulled a cord. The spillboard released the last trapped load of water and gravel down the chute 10 feet from him. Corby slipped, cursed, dropped the canvas roll, and slid toward the road. Inside the roll, Nate saw pry hooks, a hacksaw, and a folded sack. "Funny enough," Etta said into the pipe. Corby left, but his boot prints remained like a promise. The next trouble came from below. At night, the spring count changed. The spoon pivots in the stone box outside no longer clicked evenly. Click, click, pause. Click. Pause. Etta had Nate lift the lid. A float that should have sat at enough had dropped low. The water noise under the kitchen remained loud. "Water is going somewhere else," she said. They climbed to the ruined bathhouse foundation above the kitchen. There, under ice and dead grass, lay an iron settling plate marked kitchen, bath, waste, shut. Its pointer had drifted between kitchen and bath. Warm spring water, meant for the kitchen, was leaking into abandoned bathhouse channels and undermining empty stone. The top handle would not move. To free it, Nate had to lower himself into the old rinse pit, a cramped stone chamber full of warm vapor and ankle-deep water. Pipes crossed the ceiling. The underside of the settling plate showed a crescent of iron caught against a stone lip. Mineral scale had grown into the gap. He chipped at it with a narrow pick, while Etta held the rope above. Steam fogged his lamp. Warm water ran down his sleeves. When the scale broke, the plate turned with a groan. Water shifted in the pipes. Then the chamber floor trembled. A small whirlpool opened near Nate's boot, pulling gray sand through a crack. "Nate!" Etta shouted. "Out!" He grabbed a pipe, burned his palm, and got one boot on the ladder as the slab where he had stood sank 3 inches. Etta caught the back of his coat and hauled until he rolled onto the icy floor of the old bathhouse, steam rising from his clothes. "Mercy sump," she said, when she could breathe. "Overflow pocket. If it packs with sand, warm water eats new floors." The original cleanout was sealed by a bank slide years ago. "How do we reach it?" She looked toward the cave. "From the place you widened." The next morning, Nate widened the cave again, but this time by measure. Etta spoke through the porch pipe while he marked the ash. 2 handspans below the root shelf, one from the basalt nub, slant toward the water sound, stop at old brick. He shaved the bank in thin layers with the tire lever and a short spade. Behind the ash, he found a half-circle stone arch filled with dirt and roots. At its base sat a ceramic plug stamped with a spoon. "Don't break it," Etta called. "Clean the seam." He cleaned until he found an iron tab. The plug turned and sighed free. Behind it lay a low round passage smelling of old potatoes and wet stone. The Mercy sump was almost entirely packed with sand, roots, and mineral crust. Nate crawled in with a shutter lamp, rope, and hooked rake. He filled a canvas drag, wriggled backward, emptied it, and crawled in again. The first loads were wet sand, then roots, then broken tile, then a rusted spoon, black with age but whole. Etta wiped the handle with her apron and revealed the letters. O. Prubai. "Told you," she said softly. They hung the spoon above the table to rest. Then Nate went back into the sump. By afternoon, his elbows were bruised and his shoulders raw. At the basin's center, he uncovered a slotted clay dome. He cleared each slot with a nail. When the last opened, the sump gave a deep gulp. Water ran, not violently, but in a rightful direction toward the waistline. The kitchen answered. Pipes clicked in sequence under the floor. The damp line at the warm back began drying from the center outward. Etta placed her palm on the brick and closed her eyes. "That," she said, "is a room forgiving a person." Rooms forgive? No. Work does. Rooms just show it. That evening, she showed him the underside of the kitchen table. Nate lay on the warm brick floor and looked up at crosspieces covered in burned names. Not stories, not confessions. Work records. Tilly Orman, age 16, baked through blizzard. Mina Dove, age 15, kept fire. 5 days. Etta Greaves, age 15, washed every cup and did not run when found. Others marked patched bends, counted bitter spring, carried fevered men, returned blankets, set tiles, mended the roof tank. "You stayed," Nate said. "I returned." Etta corrected. I left twice. Staying can be a trap if no one lets you leave. Returning is chosen. He was silent for a while. Then he asked, Do I write mine? Not for breaking a wall, she said. His face warmed. For opening the sump and rebuilding the cold mouth, she added. If it holds till morning. It held. Before she heated the nail for him, a thin mechanical tap came through the road pipe. Etta lifted the brass cup. A child's voice crackled through. Miss Greaves? My aunt's van slid at the lower bend. She's hurt. There's 5 of us. The baby's cold. Etta looked at Nate. The kitchen changed around them without moving. She opened a drawer and handed him a wooden spool, wound with blue cord, a packet of heat bricks wrapped in wool, a canvas sling, and a bottle of sweet tea. Follow the ditch down. Tie the line at every 3rd alder. Bring the coldest first if the aunt cannot move. The lower bend was half a mile through sleet. Nate paid the blue line out behind him, knotting it to trees as he went. The van sat half in the ditch, one wheel over black water. A woman lay on the bank with one arm bent wrongly beneath her coat. 3 children huddled by the culvert rail. The oldest, Dove, held a baby under her jacket. You're not Miss Greaves, Dove said. No, Nate answered. Kitchen sent me. He gave them the heat bricks first, one for the baby, one under the injured woman's coat. He found a loose cargo shelf in the van and used it as a board. Moving the woman hurt her badly. Nate remembered the counterweight, the red chain, Etta under the floor. Not all force at once. Lift hip, stop. Slide board, stop. Tie sling, stop. Work became possible when broken into honest pieces. They brought the children first by the blue line. At the cave mouth, Nate did not drag them through the cold porch. He led them to the smokehouse stair and opened the side route properly. Warmth rose from below. The youngest child smelled soup and began crying out loud, as if the body had waited for proof before letting fear speak. Etta stood at the bottom with both hands on her cane. Coats on pegs, baby to the bench, feet toward heat. Dove, wash your hands before you help. Little ones, sit where I point and do not argue with chairs. No one argued. The injured aunt came last with help from a road worker who had seen the blue line and followed it down, swearing at the ice. Etta splinted the arm with flour crate slats and sent the worker to call the clinic. Soup moved into bowls. Wet mittens found the bench. The baby's weak cry grew stronger. No sermon was given. No one called it a miracle. The kitchen worked because every kept thing invited the next useful hand. Dove, after eating, looked at Nate's clay-streaked sleeves. You the new cold boy? The what? Miss Greaves says sometimes the kitchen finds a cold boy or cold girl before a storm. They either run with bread or learn the mouth. I broke the mouth, Nate said. Dove considered. But did you fix it? Some. Then you're the new cold boy. The words did not hurt. They placed him in a process, not a failure. The clinic truck came before dark. Etta allowed workers only as far as the pantry turn. Blankets had to be signed out on a slate, not because she mistrusted the injured aunt, but because blankets needed to come back for the next cold body. When everyone left, the kitchen felt larger and tired. Nate picked up the baby's tiny sock from under the table and set it near the basin. Later, with the room quiet, Etta heated a nail in the stove. Nate burned his name into a newer crosspiece under the table, near the edge, where future knees might knock it. Nate Alder, age 18, opened Mercy Sump and repaired cold mouth after breaking it. Etta read it upside down. Honest, a little long. I can't shorten it. Then don't. For a while after that, the kitchen did not ask more of him than his hands could answer. He washed bowls until the water grayed, dried them by heat instead of haste. and learned the difference between a shelf that held food and a shelf that held food meant for anyone. Etta made him read the wall cards aloud, not because she doubted his reading, but because she said rules heard in a human voice were harder to treat as decoration. Count spring before dawn. Leave 2 cups clean even when alone. Never let smoke teach the lesson twice. Close the cold mouth only for repair, never for fear. The side door wasn't a door in the kitchen wall, but a route through the pantry and up a stone stair to a collapsed smokehouse foundation above the road. From outside there was no handle, only broken stones, dead lilac stems, and a rusted barrel hoop frozen into weeds. Hidden did not mean magical. It meant somebody had kept the latch working, kept the stair swept, and resisted every easy improvement that would have made the place visible to the wrong eyes. Etta made Nate open and close it 10 times until he could do it without scraping the slab. "Why not bring everyone this way?" he asked. "Because some people arrive from below," she said. "Children walking ditches do not climb old smokehouse ruins. They look for a hole out of wind. The cold mouth was made to be found by need, not by maps." That answer stayed with him. Most doors he had known were built for people already expected. This one had been hidden for people no one expected to make it through the weather. Late that night, when Etta slept in the chair with her injured leg wrapped and propped, Nate took the plastic folder from his duffel and laid it on the table. The papers inside had curled from damp. Birth certificate copy, placement summary, transition plan, a medical card expiring at the end of the month, a list of emergency contacts that contained no one who would know where he was. The folder looked weak in the kitchen light, as if the room's useful objects embarrassed it. Etta opened her eyes. "Alder, your born name?" "Only one I know. They said my mother gave it. She died before I could remember. Father blank. Blank is a clerk's word for work not done." He nearly smiled, because the insult landed on the paper instead of him. "The youth home kept saying independent living," he said, like independence was something they could hand me in a folder. "What did you want?" He did not answer quickly. Wanting had been trained out of him as a way to save strength. Want less, lose less, need less, get moved less. A place where I could come back without explaining why. Etta looked around the kitchen. "This place explains by needing work. That isn't the same." "No," she said. "It may be better or worse depending on the day." He put the papers back in the folder, but he did not put the folder back in the duffel. He slid it onto the pantry shelf beside the slate, where blankets were signed out. Not hidden, not displayed. Present. The act frightened him more than sleeping in the cave had. In the days that followed, he learned that stone lip did not turn need into softness. The kitchen could be stern as frozen wood. Ash did not go into a bucket alive. The roof tank had to be latched, even if only 1 cup had been drawn. Carrots for quick soup had to be cut thin, not because Etta liked precision for its own sake, but because a half-frozen person could wait 6 minutes more easily than 20. Shame was not allowed to choose portion size. Gratitude was not allowed to replace washing up. If someone wanted to leave before dawn, the kitchen packed bread and let them leave. "Care is not a leash," Etta said, when he asked whether people ever took food and vanished. "Then why keep giving it?" "Because hunger is not improved by my opinion of what a person does after bread." He carried that answer with him while turning socks on the west bench heat. He carried it to the spring count, where the spoon pivots clicked in the stone box outside. He carried it into sleep, where for the first time in many months, he dreamed not of being chased from a doorway, but of waking because water had changed its rhythm and somebody trusted him to hear it. The county crew returned after the freeze. This time the foam truck backed close to the culvert and men uncoiled hoses. Corby Strake stood beside a woman in a green county coat and the clipboard man. Nate saw them from the spring count and ran to Etta. "Now we use witness," she said. "I thought witness was dangerous." "Everything useful is dangerous when used late." She gathered the oilcloth drainage plan, the rusted spoon marked "O. Pry," 2 old photographs, and the letter that had arrived from Dove's family through the clinic. They went out by the smokehouse stair, not the cave. Etta moved slowly but stood straight when the county woman called. "This is restricted work." "This is my drainage," Etta called back. The clipboard man began explaining the stabilization order. Etta let him speak until he said inactive void. Then she pointed her cane at the cave mouth. "Active cold air intake connected to a warm spring kitchen and masonry drainage under my upper parcel. You foam it. You may force smoke into occupied space and water behind your culvert crib." I notified the office. I have a clinic witness that the place sheltered injured people during last week's road closure. I have records old enough to embarrass whichever department claims this hollow is mapped. Corby laughed. "She's got a stove in a hole and calls it law." Nate felt anger move through him. Etta did not look back, but her hand opened. He placed the oilcloth plan in it. She unrolled only enough to show the spring channel, cold porch, Mercy sump cleanout, settling plate, and waistline. Not the stores, not every passage. The county woman studied it. Skepticism did not vanish, but it shifted toward caution. "Where did this come from?" "Hands that worked before your office owned a printer," Etta said. Corby reached for the plan. Nate stepped between them, holding out the rusted spoon so the county woman could see the stamped letters. "Nate Alder," he said. "I cleared the sump this spoon was left in. Water started running right after. If you foam the mouth, you block the only cleanout that still opens from roadside." Corby looked him up and down. "And who are you?" For a moment, Nate heard every answer people had used for him. Trouble. Aged out. Unplaced. Homeless. Unknown male. He chose the one that could stand on work. "I maintain the cold mouth," he said. The county woman looked from him to the cave, to the clear ditch water, to the plan. "Pack the foam," Corby cursed. The clipboard man muttered about engineering review. The foam truck left. The review did not bless the kitchen. Blessing would have been suspicious. 2 engineers came 3 days later, one young and careful, one older and annoyed, until the spring count clicked for him and the linen strips showed air movement he could not dismiss. Etta showed them the exterior drainage, the cold porch, the Mercy sump cleanout, the settling plate, and the waistline. She did not show all the stores or every route. Nate demonstrated the spring count because his hands had learned it. "This is not code," the older engineer said. "No," Etta replied. "It is older than your code and more honest than your map. That doesn't make it safe. Maintenance makes it safer. Neglect makes your road less safe. Write the part your office can understand." He eventually did. The temporary order that followed was ugly and useful. No fill within 15 feet of the active spring intake pending drainage protection. Stone Lip Kitchen became, in county language, an undocumented subsurface food preparation room of community significance associated with active spring air infrastructure. Etta called it the worst poem ever written about soup. Winter deepened. Nate walked to Plover Bend twice a week to split clinic firewood for cash and bring back laundry, salt, or news. He left because returning had to be different from being trapped. He returned because the kitchen's work made room for him without pretending to own him. He learned which jars were winter reserve and which were for anyone hungry. He learned that the kitchen never served tea before water was counted, never let shame decide portion size, never gave away its last dry sock, and never let a frightened person rush through a threshold without being seen. One night, in the hardest cold, the warm back cracked. The sound was soft, like a plate splitting under a cloth. Nate was washing the supper pot. Steam feathered from the right edge of the brick behind the range. Etta stood too fast and nearly fell. "Shut spring feed." Nate turned the cord-wrapped brass handle under the sink. Etta closed the lower draft, opened the ash-cool pocket, and had him drop the oven cheek, a side panel of brick and iron sealed with clay and old paint. If they fired hard, pressure would widen the split. If they let the room cool too far, water in the damaged copper belly might freeze inside the wall. They worked until midnight. Nate chipped the seam. Etta set maple shims by size. The panel finally dropped into his shoulder, and he held it long enough to keep it from breaking the floor coil. Behind it lay the copper belly of the warm back, green and black, wet around a split no longer than his thumb. In a niche beside it waited a roll of thin, tin-backed copper patches. "Bless whoever distrusted permanence," Etta said. He cleaned the split with vinegar and ash until the copper shone. She mixed pipe clay with horsehair and charcoal. Together, they pressed the patch, wired it through old eyelets, sealed the edges, and began the harder work. Slow heat. Too much wood would blister the patch. Too little, and the room would freeze. Every 10 minutes through the night, Nate touched the brick and called the warmth, while Etta marked the slate. Cold pressed through the cave. The bench stopped steaming. His eyes burned with exhaustion. Still the patch dried, darkened, and held. Near dawn, when he opened the spring feed and no steam appeared, Etta sat on the floor with her back against the table and made one small sound, almost angry, almost grief. Then she wiped her face. Don't stare at an old woman being relieved. Put water on. Later, under his first line below the table, Nate burned another. Patched warm back with Etta when cold pressed hard. "You wrote my name," she said. "You were there." "Usually am. Under tables. Witness is offered." She accepted this by not arguing. Spring arrived through mud, not flowers. The cave ferns thawed. Water ran clear over the ditch stones. A discreet spoon mark was cut into the back of the legal drainage sign near the lower bend, invisible to drivers, but findable by hands. The clinic kept a sealed note directing emergency workers to the smokehouse stair if exposure made it necessary. The county did not advertise the kitchen, and Etta did not surrender it. Protection, Nate learned, could be narrow and still be real. On the first evening warm enough to sit outside, Nate returned to the cave mouth with the tire lever across his knees. The place where he had first curled from sleet was now shaped and shored. The rear breach had been repaired with tile and horsehair clay. A proper low intake breathed through the cold porch. The Mercy sump cleanout sat under its spoon-stamped plug. If a hungry person crawled in, they would not see the kitchen. They would feel the hidden air, and if their fingers searched behind the right stone, find the porch pipe cup. Etta lowered herself onto the bank beside him. Thinking of running? Not right now. Good. It's damp for dramatic departures. He turned the tire lever in his hands. If I hadn't broken it, I wouldn't have found it. True. If I'd broken it worse, I could have killed you. Also true. I don't know what to do with both. Carry both, Etta said. Use one to keep humble, and the other to keep from pretending your need was a crime. Balance is not comfort. It is work. Footsteps came from the road below. Uneven, stopping often. A boy appeared around the bend, younger than Nate, maybe 15, with a black plastic bag over his shoulders and one shoe wrapped in duct tape. He stopped when he saw them, ready to run. Nate knew that posture from inside his own bones. Etta did not move toward him. She said only, "Road's colder after dark." The boy said nothing. Nate stood slowly and climbed halfway down, leaving distance. "There's a cup behind that stone if you need to call the kitchen," he said. "You don't have to come in. You can ask from the mouth. The boy looked from Nate to the cave. Is it a church thing? No. Do I owe? Wash the cup if you use it, Nate said. Tell the truth if you can. Don't block the air. The boy almost laughed, then did not. Hunger and distrust moved across his face like weather crossing water. Etta rose with difficulty. I'll put water on, she said, and started toward the smokehouse stair, giving him the mercy of not being watched too closely. Nate stayed by the cave. The boy came nearer by inches, crouched, reached behind the stone, and found the brass porch cup. He held it as if it might accuse him. What do I say? He asked. Nate remembered rain, cold ash, onion steam, the first warm breath through broken tile, and the table waiting with names underneath. Start with your name if you want, he said. Or start with hungry. The kitchen knows both. Behind the repaired wall, through tile, clay, stone, and the narrow cold mouth, Stone-Lip Kitchen waited with its fire held low, its table scrubbed pale, and its spoons hanging where they could catch the light. Nate stood outside in the thawing hollow, no longer trying to make the cave large enough to hide him. He had widened it once from need and broken into warmth. Now he kept it narrow enough to breathe, open enough to answer, and strong enough that the next cold hand could find the way in without destroying what had saved him.